Hey, everybody. Welcome back to season 2 of Taboo Talk with Sarah, the podcast that breaks the silence, fosters hope, and talks about the tough stuff so you never feel alone. If you're new here, I'm Sarah. I'm a mum of 3, a wellness practitioner, and I've spent a long time listening to the stories we don't always have language for, the ones that live in our bodies, our relationships, and our nervous systems. This season of Taboo Talk is about noticing what isn't right, noticing what our bodies, our lives, and our communities are trying to tell us, and staying human enough and connected enough to listen. Today is one of those conversations we don't talk about often enough, especially as women. I'm joined by longtime friend and all-around amazing person, naturopath Emma McDonald. Now, we've known each other for a while. We worked together back in 2009 when Emma was a beauty therapist studying naturopathy. Today, as a naturopath, she supports women through a deeply holistic lens, looking at cycles, stress, burnout, nervous system safety, and life stages, not as separate issues, not as separate little boxes we put things in, but as a whole. Now, recently, Emma shared a post about libido that stopped me in my tracks, not because it was provocative, because it was honest. It named something many women experience, but rarely feel safe to talk about, which is precisely why we're talking about it here. And I'm so glad to have you here. Welcome to Taboo Talk.
That's so lovely. Thanks for having me. I'm super excited to talk about anything that is against the air quotes norm.
Yeah. Yeah, normal's not something we've ever done particularly well.
No.
So I want to start with the question that I'll be asking all of my guests at the start of each interview this season. And that is, what have you noticed about women's bodies, desire, well-being that you haven't been able to look away from? What's going on that has you just going, yep, we need to look at it. We need to talk about it.
That is a good question because there are many. For me, I think it always starts with the nervous system and how resilient someone is to their surroundings. So sometimes that won't always come up in blood pathology. So it is, for me, energetic, but also through storytelling. So what are they telling me, those symptoms for them?
And when did you first start noticing that pattern? And bringing back to your article about libido, when did you realize that that isn't actually the problem? It's just a messenger for a deeper underlying problem.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was doing I think I've always seen it, like even as a beauty therapist, I couldn't understand it from a, anatomy and physiology kind of perspective or chemistry or whatever. It was literally the same thing. Women would come in and be like, oh, I'm so stressed out, or I'm tired, or I'm busy. Like we were wearing a medal for being busy. But as an early 20-year-old, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. But never really understood the capacity of what one can hold. So whether that be if you're a businesswoman working, 70-hour weeks, or whether you had kids, 5 kids, 2 kids, 1 kid, whatever, like that resilience changed. And I saw it when doing massage and facials and getting to spend that one-on-one time with someone and hearing what their life was like, what their environment was like, what their sleep was like, and I didn't get to see bloods. I didn't get to see testing at that stage. So I have always seen it, but I could never really understand it until I became a mum myself and have lived this period of life too. When you go through menarche, you are prepared for somewhat, well, I mean, our generation probably didn't prepare us as well as our generation is going to, and that's what happens with generations. We know better, so we do better. So it's not anyone's fault. It's just what's happening and what continues to happen, and these cycles that we want to break, or change or up level, really. So we've been given an idea about menarche. You know, we know what it's like coming into having a period and that first time. And okay, now we've lived that. And then we come into, well, now we actually want to have a baby. So we have to prepare somewhat. We're better at it now than we were. And then we have a baby.
Still a long way to go.
Absolutely. And that could be a whole podcast unto itself. And then we have pregnancy, which in my opinion, we don't do enough around. And then postpartum, which we are definitely doing better, but have room for movement. But then there's this gap of, okay, well, we've had our babies. We aren't quite old enough to be going through menopause. So what are we doing? Like, what is this gap? And I've seen it more probably because I'm 37, like I'm into this next phase. My body actually knows I'm not having any more babies, but what I like to coin the last ditch effort of trying to have a baby is this phase coming into perimenopause. And I'm torn. I'm torn between my age group, 35 to 42, and us thinking, oh, I'm in perimenopause. No, I'm sorry, I disagree, because your bloods actually don't show me that. Follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, estrogen, progesterone, they're the ones that we look at briefly. Then you have something like DHEA and SHBG, which are kind of other important hormones, but precursors. So when we're looking at follicle stimulating hormone, luteinizing hormone, those two hormones that instigate that follicular phase, so that first phase in our cycle, is where things start to change. It's like this last ditch effort to have a baby, and your body's like, let's ramp them up. Let's ramp up these particular hormones so we can get estrogen doing its job, and then maybe you'll want to have a baby. But it kind of backfires in this environment we live in when we are sometimes in a phase of life where you're raising children and they're coming into this pre-teen, teen phase. Then you're here not being needed, or us here not being needed as much as when the child was 5 or 6 or 7, when they're little and they're so dependent on you.
And they need you for everything.
Yes. And then you're like, okay, am I living my best life right now? Am I doing what I want to do that lights my soul up? And often I hear that that's a no, because you've either been a housewife or a stay-at-home mum, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But your soul can only do that for a particular time. And there's such a small minority that's happy to do that for the rest of their life, right? So when we're looking outside of that minority, I say this, that not every mum is happy to be a stay-at-home mum all the time. So are they fulfilling their purpose? And then you've got older parents that are probably in nursing homes, probably going through dementia, health conditions, which is a rock and a hard place, really, at the end of the day, when your own hormones are shifting. So it's like, we need to do it earlier. Whatever's happening in this perimenopause space needs to be done earlier. So in this space that I'm in, and which is what I'm seeing, sorry, I went on a tangent there. I kind of had to paint a picture, but
that's okay.
It's this age where we've come out of being the be all and end all for our children when they're little, and we've depleted ourselves. So we're in mum depletion. And then the hormones shift because we know we're not going to have babies. So there's this psychological thing happening, which has an onflow to this pathophysiology. And then we're like, okay, I'm not perimenopausal, but why do I feel like shit? Like, why do I not feel right? It's like I haven't felt well since. Something's not quite right. That's what I hear all the time in this kind of 35-ish, 42, always room for outside of the box. But this is just a general gauge of age that we need to put back into women. And women come to me, and the things that they say to me that they want as their top health goals, it's losing weight and it's having a better libido. And I think to myself, those things should not be the top. Those are symptoms. not having a libido, weight gain, they're symptoms, just like a cough, a broken leg, a runny nose, whatever. And that's what we need to come back to, is
because that's your body telling you something isn't right. And I know when you were talking and you said that age range, now straight off in my head, because I'm a little bit older than you. And I went, well, I was 37 when I had my first baby and 40 when I had my last. And now I'm 50, and just quietly, perimenopause is actually kicking my ass, but I'm getting on top of that because somewhere along the line I learned to listen to that something isn't right, so figure it out and do something about it. But not everyone has that. So how do you go about talking to those women that are in that space of their body is clearly telling them something's not right? They're wanting to address those symptoms, but how do you get them looking at what's going on underneath?
bloods is one of the easiest ways to start the ball rolling. Checking hormones in blood pathology is okay. It's not the gold standard, because the blood will buffer and it doesn't, and there's delays and there's, things that are going on. Functional testing like saliva or urine testing for hormones is the gold standard, and gives us a better understanding. But because we don't always have hundreds and hundreds of dollars in this climate to spend on testing, and I'm very respectful of that, getting a starting point is better than not having a starting point at all. I am a very realistic naturopath. I live in the real world. I am not perfect. Sometimes I like to eat junk food. There's things that I feel like people can put naturopaths on pedestals, like we are the ones that are doing everything perfectly. And I just want to say that's not true at all. Like, we fail just as much as anyone, and that's life.
Shock horror, Emma's human.
Human. Oh my goodness, yes.
She likes chocolate just as much as the rest of us.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, hot chips is for me. I don't know. I think the saltiness.
Yeah. That's the thing. So
yeah,
even those of us who are in that space and do know, we still have our moments where we don't get it right, or as I've seen lots of times with therapists, and you can feel free to agree with me or not, we're our own worst enemy in that we spot those things going on with other people. And if somebody else was sitting across from you telling you exactly the same symptoms that you have, you'd know straight away what to do. But when it comes to you, you don't always see it.
It is easier to tell someone something, but when you've said it so many times and it becomes the way that you live, it actually becomes really easy to fall back into alignment, or choosing better things to eat, knowing that I have to have a better sleep routine, all of the things that make it a holistic health. And that's what this is about. Is I was putting together some work in the Women's Wellness Festival for last year, and I was working on this particular space. And I coined this term, monarch rising, because there seems to be this gap that's missing. We have this menarch, then we go into, now I've lost my words, menarch into matriarch, then we've got monarch, so monarch rising, into this perimenopausal kind of stage. And I was like, this is a time that we really need to come back to foundations. Just like we were preparing for a baby, you're preparing to have hormones change yet again, and we just don't have enough of that. So having this change, checking pathology, checking where you're at now, and then having something to compare it to. So when you generally will go to the GP and ask for hormones, one, they may not do it, but two, they'll be like, you're not old enough for menopause. So, and then, but they don't understand the importance of seeing references. So comparing you now to comparing you 12 months ago when you felt somewhat okay, because things can change quite quickly and you can feel it. A lot of women feel it in their mental health, seems to go first before the bodily things change, whether it be hot flushes, vaginal dryness, things that we don't talk about because, patriarchy, right?
Shh.
And and then you're like, is this right? Am I feeling this? You talk to your other friends and you're like, oh yeah, maybe I have had that. So it's this awareness, bringing awareness to what we can do. And pathology does give us a space to do that, and checking things like cortisol. What is our morning cortisol doing? What's your cholesterol doing? Do we have enough of it? In this day and age where cholesterol's like, don't have high cholesterol. Well, sorry, cholesterol makes your sex hormones, and it also
kind of
helps function your brain. So let's look at what that's doing. Okay, if it's really high, cool, then maybe there's something going on with your liver and you're not able to process it as well. What's your antioxidants doing? We need that, like a B12, folate, brain health. Like there's so many things that can give you answers in the early days when you're not feeling quite right, but your hormones probably look somewhat normal.
Gotcha. Yeah. And there's always that it's all interconnected. And if one part of the system's slightly off, then it's going to have that knock-on effect. Because nothing happens in isolation.
Yeah.
You even said that in your article, that libido doesn't rise in isolation. There's got to be all these other things happening at just the right time to make all the bells and whistles go off.
Yeah. And that comes down to the day-to-day life too. Like, am I feeling valued? Am I doing what I love that fills my cup up? Because if you're not topped up and you're not feeling valued and respected, and then why would you want to turn on that most natural feeling in your body? A lot of that gets switched off because in fight or flight, your body goes, oh, sorry, you can't reproduce. I'm not going to give you any of those happy hormones to make you want to get down and busy because, sorry, you can't make a baby right now. And that's, at the end of the day, why we have those hormones. We have those hormones to increase libido, to go, oh, now is the peak time, get on it. And but fight or flight, having a nervous system that's not going to give you space to do that is not going to give you the libido. So you have to reverse engineer what you're feeling and fix those things. What's your love language? I don't know. Have you ever done your love language before?
Yeah.
Do you know much about it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So there's the 5 main ones. It'll be touch, time, gifts, words of affirmation, acts of service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And that really,
I'm a massage therapist. Mine's touch.
Oh, yeah. Sure. So physical touch, probably you had more of that libido or were more open to that libido, hence everything going correctly. Now, hormonal changes, maybe for you that's changed.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, that's different.
Yeah, and I've stepped away from working in that clinical space as well. And currently I'm doing the at-home mum thing that I've never actually done before. And when you were talking before, it's like, it's not always the most comfortable thing. Granted, I was 35 when I got married, 36, nearly 37 when I had my first baby. I'd been working for a long time, and I'd been working in middle management and management roles. Work Sarah had her shit together. I knew what I was doing. I could function in that space in my sleep. I probably did sometimes. But this tiny baby did my head in to start with. And I found I was better being a mum when I still had that space where I was me. And now that I've shifted and I'm not in clinic for a number of reasons, but I've still found those things that, I'm mum and I love that I'm able to be more present with them, more connected with them, know what's going on with them, that I'm here for dinner with them every night. That sort of thing that I couldn't always do when I was working.
Yeah, beautiful.
But I also started a podcast. I still read research articles. I still study, do that sort of thing, because I need to keep doing those things that top up my cup, so that then I'm better able to pour from that cup. I'm better able to give them what they need, because I'm managing to keep my nervous system regulated. And that's not always easy either, in these crazy busy lives that we lead. And so many people, you see it as a naturopath, I saw it all the time as a massage therapist, during chronic fight and flight, cortisol levels are through the roof. Your body doesn't know how to turn that switch off, and it has that knock-on effect of affecting every other system.
Absolutely. I laughed the other day. I saw a meme actually that came up on, or a reel that came up on Instagram, and it was about the love languages, and mine is generally acts of service or quality time. And it was basically a husband and wife having a hug, and she says that her love language is acts of service and his is physical touch. And it was like, it read something along the lines of,
why am I scared where this is going?
No, very, very G-rated. Was basically saying, you know, his love language is physical touch, yet here I am and the dishes are still in the sink, and she's just like giving him a hug and is like rolling her eyes like, is this done yet? And it just made me think that sometimes those with physical touch as a love language, and those with acts of service, you know, it can be, that's what my husband and mine are. And we have to come to this kind of agreement, or this arrangement. Well, not arrangement, that sounds like it's written down on paper. It's not, but just from understanding where we're both coming from to meet both of our needs. So you may not even see that in a blood test, but this is what I mean by your environment. Do you have to always mow the lawn and wash the dishes and put the clothes out, and your other half doesn't do as much of that physical load? How can you switch on that part of your brain that says, let's get down and jiggy with it, when you feel like you've got the things on the list, right? So it isn't just about perimenopause. It's not just about blood pathology, nutrient deficiencies, albeit that's super important. But we also need to look at our life. Like, are we happy? Are we fulfilled? Are we valued? Are we respected? Like, those in conjunction with each other gives you a better space to be able to be your best self, whether it be in the bedroom or not, you know, anywhere.
Everywhere.
Everywhere, yes.
Because that's what we deserve, is to have that full, complete life where we are being our best selves across the board. And if we're not in one area, chances are we're not fulfilled in others as well.
Yeah. And that's a scary part. That's the hard part. No one really wants to do the hard work for, is changing your lifestyle. It's hard. Like, that's not meant to be putting the hard word on anyone or making you feel judged. It's literally just, it's the reality of it. You want to feel better, you have to change things, then not just take pills. You know, it has to be a whole body approach if it's for longevity. And again, I'm not perfect. I take the supplements because there's some things I don't change, but it's having the awareness, doing more when we know we can do more, when we know more. And that's that generational cyclical pattern that we're beginning to see and wanting to adjust. It's because our grandmas and our mums barely spoke about any of this. They just got on with it. Let's just do it. But now the world's changed, and we have more things working against us, that we have to be outspoken. We have to talk about it, because we need to change it now for our children.
Yeah, because if we don't, there's going to be another generation of girls who go through all of these stages thinking that there's something wrong, or that they just they're not prepared. They don't know what's going to come at them.
Yeah.
Right. I'll use a personal example. I went through puberty very young. I was 10. I'm the youngest of 5 girls. My sisters had all been slightly older when they went through menarche. So Mum wasn't expecting to have to explain it to me for another year or two. So do you remember an old movie called My Girl where she comes running out of the bathroom screaming her head off thinking she's dying? Yeah, that was me. And it was because you don't talk about that stuff until it's necessary. And then I suffered terrible morning sickness. I had HD from conception to delivery with all my kids.
Yes, I remember that.
So did my mother. So I followed her pattern. But until I actually got pregnant and started going through it, we'd never actually talked about it. And then what was really interesting, my mum was also going through cancer treatment when I was pregnant. And they ended up giving me the same anti-nauseants that they were giving her. It's like, okay, you're giving me anti-nauseants that you usually reserve for cancer patients. Should I be scared?
Yeah.
They are the best thing ever, by the way.
Yeah.
But I don't recommend anyone needing to have them, but if you do.
They did the job. Yep.
They did the job. And now going through perimenopause and menopause, because again, one of those things, you just got on with it. You don't talk about it, you just go do it. And there's so many things that I'm noticing that's like, I have to stop and ask, is that a perimenopausal, menopausal thing, or is that something else? And get to what's going on. Because so many things like the aches and pains, the sleep problems, the itchy skin, so many of them can be other things as well. So it's got to get down to what's really going on, and the just throwing hormones at it is probably not going to help if I don't also get my stress levels under control, or because I have gained a little bit of weight, partly because I'm not doing 7 massages a day anymore.
Yeah. It's a change on your body, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not moving as much as I used to. So there may be that essence of, well, get off your butt and move as being part of the picture.
Yep. But it's also like, okay, well, how can I improve the sleep? You know, am I getting enough protein? Am I having regular bowel movements? And these are the things that I talk about with my clients all the time is it's all the other things that are your day-to-day symptoms, I guess, that do all add up.
And you mentioned it too, that sometimes the blood tests will come back normal, or that you're in normal ranges. And there's not always that, where were you 12 months ago? So you do when, your bloods say you're normal, but you know you're not.
Yeah. Sometimes hormones will be normal. There'll be other things in the bloods that I'll go, oh, okay, well, this could point to this symptom. Usually, nutrient deficiencies or liver problems, low antioxidants, those kinds of bits and pieces. So I've not seen anyone's bloods and been like, whoa, you're done. Like, you're actually fine. But their hormones look to be okay. One, because I don't have reference. But, thyroid can really play into that as well. How well you digest your food. Because if you're not digesting, you're not absorbing, then you're going to be nutrient deficient in some of the really profound ones.
I'm beginning to think naturopaths like talking about poop.
Yeah, always. If I haven't talked about poop with you, then I'm not doing my job very well.
I was on a Zoom call this morning with another holistic health expert, and she's slowly becoming known as like the poop queen, because she talks about it all the time. I suppose it is a very clear, very honest evaluation of what's going on in your body.
Yeah, it really
But
is.
it's one of those things that we don't talk about that, except for if we have small babies and we're talking about what their bowel movements are.
Yeah. So you get used to talking about poop in early motherhood.
Yeah, very much so. And then for some reason we stop.
Yeah. Yep. And then it's interesting when people don't look at their poo. I think it becomes very normal for me to be like, oh, what does my poo look like today?
Yeah.
So when I'm asking, have you noticed the texture? How, undigested food or length or color, or is it floating or is it sinking? Like that actually means something. Whereas people are like, oh my gosh, I've never paid that much attention. And that's not your fault. It's just not something that's in your wheelhouse.
Yeah. Not something that we talk about or that we tell people is a good idea outside of certain circles. So
yeah.
See, I told you we were going to talk about all sorts of stuff
all of the things
we don't usually talk
just
about.
For anyone that's listening, the ideal poo is a poo that does half sink, half float, just so you know, and as brown as it can be.
Yes. With nothing that looks like it doesn't belong in it.
Yes, that's right. And most of the time, people's poo won't look like that. It's actually very rare to have the perfect poo.
Yeah, the long sausage shaped. Yeah, doesn't happen all that often.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to decide which way this conversation should go.
Yeah, well, I'll go anyway.
Yeah. So getting back to your article that got me to call you and say, hey, you need to come on my show because I want to talk about that. Why do you think women's experience of desire and their disconnection are so often either minimized, you're just stressed, or medicalized, that it's a problem and we need to take a pill, do a surgery, whatever?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think because we've never really been open about talking about one's sexuality. We've kind of gone the other way and we talk about everybody else's way that they want to identify as whatever person, which is fine. But never have we been okay to be like, oh, I enjoy sex. I look forward to sex. I don't feel like sex. Why? Like, that's just not something, again, a lot like perimenopause. We just don't talk about it because it's always been taboo. It's always been, that's something that happens behind closed doors because that's how we were raised.
Yeah.
That's just how it's come before us.
Yeah. You're not one of the Sex and the City girls. You're not supposed to be out there talking about it all the time.
God, I love that show. Yeah, absolutely.
Me too.
Yeah. That openness to say what I like, what I don't like,
Yeah. And to explore it and that to be okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be amongst people if you don't want it to be, but it should be with the person you want it to be with, right? It doesn't have to be open. I'm not saying you have to go and make a reel about it or talk on social media about your sex life, but it's being honest and true to yourself about what you want and what makes you feel good.
Yeah.
And that should be open for discussion, especially when the other person is also equally getting that and may not need the workup, may not need, I'm generalizing, but if some things are easier for the others than others, and it has been, I'm pretty sure it has been, I heard a number and I think it was like 20 minutes it takes a woman to get in the mood, whereas men, they can just like turn it on. It's just like they're ready to go. So that's not you being broken and you can't just switch on your bits to do their jobs. Lubrication is a process of the brain. There's lots of different feedback loops, lots of things telling each other part to work. Am I feeling safe right now? Am I feeling valued right now? Is this something that I want to do? you know, there's so many moving parts for women, and that's just the way that it is.
And if you're not feeling safe, if you're not feeling valued, if you're thinking about the 50 gazillion other things you still have to do, or you're annoyed with your partner because he hasn't done something that he said he was going to do, or vice versa, then those switches aren't going to get flipped. They're not going to get, you're not going to get each one kicking off the next thing that needs to happen.
Yeah. And I'm not saying all women feel like this or all partners feel like this. It's just when, and I just had this thought just now, that it kind of is the patriarchy's fault, right? So they wanted us in kitchens. They wanted us to do housewife things, think about birthday presents and what kids are doing. Like, we had the list to do, and they went to work and they did their list at work, right? So we've grown up to be doing all this list at home, but now we're the ones that get, I guess, put down in a sense for not being up for it and being able to put out as much as someone else might want us to, because we've been ingrained and the generations before have told us all the things that we should be doing. And now we've got this other side that we're thinking, oh no, we actually do want to be in control of our sexual health and doing what we want to do. And oh no, that feels good. No, that doesn't feel good. So it's really this juxtaposition of having to do it all, which I don't believe is possible. I don't think we are built to do it all. There has to be some sort of compromise. Because otherwise it's that, oh, how are you today? Oh, yeah, good, but busy. Like, you're wearing it like a damn medal. Like, no, we need to stop doing that.
Yes.
Because that's the shit that gets passed down to our daughters and sons, that we have to be busy. You can't just be still and know what you want, what feels good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that you have to be on and performing all the time, that you can't just sit and be. And that's not what we were designed for. You look at every system in our body, it has those times when it's on and doing stuff. Yeah. And then it has those times when it switches off and lets something else run the show. And we kind of need to be like that too. We don't necessarily want to take anyone else's load off them or dump our load onto anybody else. But we need to be able to say, hey, my load's too heavy. I can't carry it all. Can you help me?
Yeah.
And that be okay for us to admit that I can't do it all.
Yeah. And that's something that we're
I don't want to do it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so often there comes that shame attached to, I should be able to do X, Y, and Z. My mum did, my friend did, whatever.
Yeah. Sharon on the internet, she seems to have 75 kids and does it all. Well, yeah. That's the worst part about social media, hey?
Yeah. It's the highlight reel.
The highlight reels. Yeah.
Because, yes, everybody puts up the things to celebrate, the things to congratulate themselves on, the things that make them feel better.
Yeah.
Nobody puts on. I had a really shit day because I was dealing with, pick a problem.
Sure.
So pick whatever. My kid's chucking a temper tantrum. My husband wants something yesterday. My boss wants something else 20 minutes before yesterday. And I'm sitting here going, well, what?
Yeah.
We don't talk about that sort of stuff. We only ever highlight the good stuff.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing. There is a lot of good stuff out there, and we need to be looking for it and highlighting it when it's there. But we don't need to be using it as a weapon against ourselves. That comparing and the, well, why can't I do that when everybody else can? probably not everybody else can. You just see them at
What
their
you
best.
want to see. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And then when we're looking at this rise and fall, which happens with hormones too, is that there is a designated time in your cycle that is going to be, let's have a baby, you will feel a libido increase. But you won't
Yep.
just feel libido increase. It'll be like the day you've decided to do the washing and the mowing. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm feeling really grateful. And those are those hormones doing that. That's that rise. That's the follicular phase, right? You ovulate and then everything comes down after that. It shouldn't come down so hard that you've hit depression, because then that's an abnormality. But
That's another problem.
it's also the fact that we as women live in a 28-day, 32 kind of cycle. Men live in a 24-hour one, and we cannot and should not compare, because we cannot do that. Our bodies can't do that. So yes, there are going to be days of your cycle, whether you are menstruating or not. You know, that it has been shown that in menopause you still have the highs and the lows, but they're just not as significant as when you are bleeding, or when you have a normal menstrual cycle. So, you know, from day 21, if you're feeling off, then you hold space for that. You shouldn't be expected to be the same person every day of the month. And I'm not talking about like massive highs to massive lows. It's just
No.
you can have feelings and have emotions, and we're not supposed to ride through them and just forget that they mean anything. We are human beings, and we need to have those human being experiences, and that is on the clock.
Yeah.
That is a 28-day kind of clock. The moon.
Yes. That, hey, it moves the ocean, so why wouldn't it move us too?
Yeah. Yes. And I feel like the one way you really notice that is in children. I think being such, beings of the universe, as
They
woo
are
as that
so
sounds like.
connected to
Yeah.
everything around them and what's going on. Yes. I have
And-
friends who are primary school teachers who they hate windy days because it sends the kids off the
I have
planet.
heard that one.
My mum was the clerk of the court, and I knew quite a lot of policemen at one point in my life too because of that. You want to know what day of the month they hate?
Yeah, full moon.
Full moon.
Yeah. All the
'Cause,
crazies
quote,
come
it
out.
brings exactly.
Well, you
It
just
brings
know that
all
from
the
being in
crazies out.
retail. Yeah. If you work with people, retail, like anything, you just be like, oh, must have been full moon today.
Yeah.
It does. It makes you
on a
feel
day
off.
Yeah, because can't quite put my finger on it, but something just doesn't feel quite right. It's all out of kilter.
Yeah. At the end of the day, really, we are souls having a human experience, right? So there's things that we just don't understand, and I don't think we'll ever understand.
Maybe not this side of heaven.
Yeah, when you are looking at both. And I love that that's what I do well, is able to see outside of just a blood test and see that human experience and that energetic side, and being able to work in with them both. And I understand not everyone probably as woo as me, but that's the whole person when you're treating someone. Like, that's when you're looking at symptoms and how you're feeling, you have to engage both sides. Otherwise you're not treating the whole person.
No. And those things don't have to be, there's so many things in life that we say have to be a either or, that you look at this thing or that thing. I've always been more a both and.
Yeah.
I think a long time ago we possibly had the conversation of if you take the best of allopathic medicine and put it with the best of complementary therapies and the best of natural holistic health, we'd actually have an incredible system of healthcare, because where one has its weakness, the other has its strength. So rather than cancelling each other out, they can prop each other up. But we don't always like looking that broadly. It's like, nope, you have to have science or art. You can't be
So true.
You both. But
And that also needs to be spoken about. Like, I wish more of both sides work together, because
yeah,
medicine absolutely has its place, and it probably sounds like I'm very anti like hormones and things like that. I'm not. They definitely have their place, but it's like
Mm.
you have to work on the other things. So medicine will
yeah,
really shift the needle, but it's not going to correct what's happening.
everything. Yeah,
And hormones, like, they are supposed to decline. We aren't supposed to have the certain amount of hormones our whole life, but how they transition can be rough. And that's
yeah,
the change, and that's the shift. If you need hormones for a particular time, absolutely. But there are side effects, and things aren't always as they seem, and you don't always get told the things
yeah,
you should be told. If you're having a massive shift in hormones, example, other symptoms, it's because other parts of the body aren't processing correctly. What is the liver doing? What are the neurotransmitters doing? This is where it has to be. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It can be both. It just has to be done correctly with the right people.
yeah,
I've been through my own mental health journey, and my ego was
yeah,
taken down a massive shift when I had to go on SSRIs. It was the last thing that I wanted to do, and I feel like I'd failed myself when I had to take them. Um, but to me, I thought, you know what? I need to do this because I need to see what my clients see and the struggles that they have. I believe that we go through things to be able to share a
yeah,
certain space. And for me, it was like, okay, did I do the right things? Do the things that I could have done leading up to needing to go on meds? Probably not. Was I listening to my advice fully? No, probably not. Was I in a part of my life that wasn't serving me? Yes. Okay, the universe showed me what I had to do, and I had to change my life. Like, I stopped working, I quit my job. I literally did very little because I couldn't hold, like, I had no capacity. So taking medication at that point to regulate and keep a quality of life is important. But then I had to do the other work, working through the
yeah,
trauma, working through grief, working out the burnt out nervous system, changing what wasn't aligned with me. Like, it was a full picture. But I said to myself, I know I will come off this medication because I will do it correctly. I won't get stuck on it and have then nothing change and be
yeah,
stuck on it 10 years later and still not feel my best self. I refuse to do. And that's what I mean. There is a place always
yeah.
for something. It just needs to be done correctly.
And thank you so much for sharing that, because again, that's an experience that a lot of women have, of the, oh, don't want to go on meds because I don't want to get stuck on them, and not necessarily helped to navigate that experience. So hearing it from you would be really helpful. And I'm loving that you're already answering some of the questions I was going to ask, which is always fun.
Yeah.
Because one of the questions I was going to ask you was around replacement, about hormone replacement therapy and that sort of thing. Because a lot of women are told go on them, but there's also women who are told you can't have them, so you just have to cope.
Yeah.
Now, I'm thinking from a naturopath perspective and the holistic person that you are, as with a lot of things, the truth of that is somewhere in the middle of,
Yeah.
it's not always going to be the right thing. It's not always going to be the wrong thing either. So how do you help people see, how do you help people navigate that of the, do I need to go on hormones or any other medication, or is there something else I can do, or does it need to be a combination of, yes, go on medication, but also do the work? Don't
Yeah.
just think that popping that pill is going to solve everything.
Yeah. Well, to give you a specific, I have a client at the moment, and she's around my age, and she's literally been bleeding nonstop for quite some time. And the blood, like her cycle has changed, and her mum and her sister also went through really early perimenopause and had hysterectomies and things. And she didn't want to go down that route. And because she's a bit more informed and aware that that doesn't fix the problem always, that, okay, well, we could take an organ out, sure, but you have organs for a purpose, right? So yes, you don't need to use them the same way anymore, but why are the hormones shifting so dramatically that your body can't handle it, and what's going on with your uterus, your ovaries, whatever? Let's look at that.
Yeah.
How much time, I would say to someone, how much time are you willing to put into this? Because doing it the natural way can be slower. And we have to be realistic. And because I see people when they're really tapped out, they've been to multiple GPs and they're just not really getting answers, and their only support is like, well, we can either put you on the pill, we can give you the hormone replacement, or we could just do a hysterectomy, or maybe an ablation or something if you've got adenomyosis or something less dramatic than hysterectomy. And
None of them sound like fun choices.
No, not at all. But I also appreciate like living with brain fog, depression, anxiety, bleeding can be so detrimental to your health, and waking up in the morning can be a hard choice. So I can't give them the answer. Like, they have to choose it on their own, and I will be there to support them however. And I try to give as much information as I can. I'm no expert in all of the different hormones one can take. I am aware of them. So I would probably send them to someone or find out a little bit more about the specific hormones they've been told to take first. But I would say, look, for me, I would be working on XYZ. So that might be reducing the blood flow, which we can do with herbs, which I have got this woman on herbs, and her bleeding has actually stopped. So, we can use herbs. We can, thank you, we can use hormone adjusting herbs. So like something like peony or peonia or chaste tree, or, that helps to balance estrogen and progesterone. We throw some schisandra in there, maybe for some liver support to help detox these particular hormones, while also being an adaptogen that's nice on the nervous system. So it's like, how much time can you give me or give yourself to work on XYZ? And sometimes that can be a good 3 months to make a significant difference, or some shift. Some hormones and some symptoms are really hard. But then if someone's like, no, I can't do it, I just need to do something now. Okay, sometimes these hormones are not your magic bullet, and I'm sorry. Some people don't notice a huge difference. Some people get negative symptoms, like their mental health may get worse before it gets better. Sometimes it can really affect digestion. You might get some bloating, diarrhea. Like, I try to give a full picture, but I would never tell someone, no, don't do it. Maybe unless it was, if I had a sister and maybe I was that comfortable to be like, don't do it. But there would be a reason behind it. It's not just because I'm anti-hormones. It just doesn't solve the problem. But for a time where we go, let's use this, let's give it a try. Does it make your quality of life better? Okay, it did. Great. Let's keep working on these things in the background, and then we'll start to taper off those hormones. And then you take one off and you build one up. And this is what I did with my own medication. Like, your body's being shunted into one direction, whether it be SSRIs, hormones, that's what pharmaceuticals do. It's going to give you an isolated compound shunted to do a job. Sure. Sometimes that is what gives you adverse effects, because your body doesn't do that. Your body doesn't just go, here, keep serotonin, here, keep estrogen at this level for this long every single day, right? So
because it fluctuates according to where it needs it.
Exactly. So it's good. It will push you in one direction and give you a pro or a con, but then we do have to negate what else is happening, or look at how could we we can take that down and build you up here and clear this out and fix this and up this protein. It's
it really is about integrating that whole picture. and not just focusing on one symptom or even a collection of symptoms, but looking at what's going on across the board and remembering that those symptoms are your body communicating with you. And sometimes listening to that can be tricky, especially when in perimenopause, we're already going through those changes that sometimes make us feel like our body's rebelling against everything that we want to be doing. So for one example of mine, and it's a weight gain thing, I had been the same size and roughly the same weight from when I was 12 till I was 47. Okay, yes, I'd gotten heavier during pregnancy, but not that much.
Yeah.
Because all the weight that I gained when I was pregnant was baby weight. But now I'm the heaviest I've ever been, including when I was pregnant. So I'm heavier than I was when I was pregnant. And I'm not doing that many things differently, but there is obviously something going on in my body that's triggered off that slow. And it didn't happen overnight. It slowly creeped, which is why I didn't
notice
clock
it as much
necessarily how much it was.
Yeah.
Until then, it's like, I'm actually uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I think a lot of us, we either get disconnected from our bodies. We're so busy noticing everybody else and doing everything for everybody else that we don't notice what's going on ourselves. Or we know our body's talking to us. We know it's trying to tell us something, but we do that. Yeah, I'll take care of it later, or I don't have time for that right now, or that's just how it is. I'll just
put everyone
keep
else
going
first.
with it.
Yeah.
So if you had somebody who was listening and they're feeling completely disconnected from their bodies, they don't really recognize themselves anymore, what's one gentle place you would start, like that first step they could take towards feeling a little more at home in their own bodies again?
That's a good question. I would say that choosing one thing every day that lights you up, that actually makes you feel good, whether that be calling a friend, putting some music on, going for a walk, like whatever lights you up has to be done daily. Because I feel like if your soul isn't feeling replenished or topped up, like how can you just do everything else? And
you're certainly not going to have any level of desire for your partner.
Yeah. You can't pour from an empty cup. I think you said that before. It's just, it's so true for women. And I know there's always the talk, like I have to do this, right? I've got to, clean this or make this, or, you don't have to. Yes, work. I understand work pays the bills, but if you didn't have any bills, then you
would you still be doing it?
What would you be doing? Would you still be doing this? And I know money seems to make the world go round, but at the end of the day, like, you don't have your health, you have nothing.
Yes.
So easy things that you can do is take 15 minutes and put your feet on the grass. Like grounding can be a huge shift for your nervous system, especially if you work in an office around lights, really external environments that really trigger you. Outside, sunshine, drinking good quality filtered water, getting your body moving somewhat, doing something you enjoy, getting enough protein, which is actually one of the hardest things for women to do. But starting the day with a good breakfast, not your coffee, like those foundational things actually will be better than any supplement really can. And then you can work down to the nitty gritty bits and pieces, but do something today that you love to do and be grateful for that.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know change, nothing changes until something changes. So
Yeah.
we can keep going around and thinking we don't have enough time, we don't have enough money, and you will never have enough time and you will never have enough money. You have to make one small change, and you just have to sit down and figure out what that is for you.
Yeah. And remember that what it is for you may not be the same as what it is for me.
Absolutely. And that's okay.
Yes. What I've been hearing over and over is that, like through this conversation, but also in others, is that it's all connected, and desire isn't something that we can summon by force. It's like you can't make yourself feel what you're not feeling, but you can get yourself into a state where that desire is more likely to happen because you have been paying attention, because you have topped up your tank,
Yeah.
because you've put your body into a space that it feels safe enough that it can respond that way. Or you've recognized when your body's naturally in a state where it can do all the things that you want it to do. And that's listening to your body, really listening.
Tells you everything you need to know. It really does.
Yeah.
And then speaking to someone that can help you decode that, decipher what's actually happening. But innately, you know better. You know what your body needs and what it doesn't need. It's just, that one change.
Yeah. And we sometimes forget to trust that innate wisdom that our body does know what to do when we give it the things it needs to nourish it and do its job. Yeah. So we just need to start listening. And that's very much the heart of Taboo Talk, is naming those things that we don't talk about, not to shock or provoke, but to restore that dignity, that connection, that listening, and remembering that we're all connected and we can all help each other in one way or another. Emma, I want to thank you for your honesty today. It's been fun talking about all things perimenopause and poop and desire and probably a few other things in there too.
It's been a pleasure.
So if today's conversation resonated with you, if your body's been trying to tell you something, no, you're not broken. You're not alone. I'm Sarah Jordan Ross, and this has been Taboo Talk. Until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and remember, your story matters, so share it, because you never know when it's your story that's going to be the thing that helps somebody change their lives. Bye for now.
Thank you so